Hey, you're tuned into The Unlikely Show with Nida and Chuck.
Where running your mouth won't get you killed.
I'm Nida Khan.
And I'm Chuck Creekmer.
This is the show that will fearlessly talk about everything under the sun.
We'll cut through all the BS spin and make sense out of the senseless.
Here you'll catch a mix of politics, social issues, entertainment, international stories, and everything in between.
We're not just talking heads. We want you, the listeners, to be just as involved as we are.
That's right.
Yep.
Absolutely. All right. So welcome, everybody. This is our very, very first debut here, premiere show. And we're going to start it off by telling a little bit about ourselves, how Chuck and I met.
And how this whole thing came about.
Exactly. This wonderful new endeavor, right? So technically, I think, Chuck, we met about over a decade ago, I want to say, a long time ago, when I used to cover music and entertainment. I have since segued onto politics and hard news and international stories, but I did at one point in time, even though it may be hard to believe, for those who know me now, I did cover a lot of music and entertainment for places like MTV News, the Associated Press, worked at Double XL, The Source Magazine, the whole nine. And then I segued from that to radio, working here in New York at Kiss FM, working on a couple shows there, a couple news shows with some of the baddest cats in radio, I might add. And then
they are bad.
They are bad, you know, like James Ntume, Bob Slade,
Absolutely.
those guys, Bob Pickett, fantastic. Mr. Juicy himself, who we will have on at some point, definitely on the show.
Doubt.
I've been a producer for Reverend Sharpton's national radio show. And then I currently write a lot of opinion pieces for places like, you know, I've written for the Huffington Post, the Women's Media Center, Alternate, and then I've worked at Arise TV, a bunch of TV places too. So that's a little bit about myself. And
you just ran your whole resume down just now.
Actually, no, that's only partial, believe it or not.
Well, your resume should be one page, so
Right.
I'm going to take over here.
Right.
And I'm not going to be as long.
Okay.
So, long story short, Chuck Creekmer, Jigsaw, you know me. I've been around for a minute. Most people know me from allhiphop.com as the holder of the boulder over there, but I've been around for, years. BET, I worked there on the low for a few years. The Source, Vibe, all the main places that quote unquote urban media. I never got to GQ and Esquire, which was a dream until All Hip Hop took flight, and I kind of left that alone. But I'm proud to say I've done a few things in media. Went head to head with Bill O'Reilly, shut him down. We shut him down. Public Enemy's my favorite rap group. Love Kendrick Lamar. My favorite color is red. I can draw a little bit too. So that's what you should know about me.
My favorite color is blue.
So you're like a Crip, and I'm like
we're having unity right here, right?
Yeah, we got intertribal unity here.
Absolutely.
Right.
That's what it's all about. Cool. Anyway, coming to the table as one to tackle some of these issues. And actually, we're going to kick off this first show on a very, very important substantive topic. August 9th is the 1-year anniversary of Michael Brown's death in Ferguson. And we want to just delve into that a little bit. And we're really excited to have a wonderful guest with us here today. Chuck, if you want to do the honors here.
Yo, it's Tef Poe, my brother, man. It's good to have you here, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
People that don't know, Tef Poe is and has been on the front line for quite some time, but particularly surrounding Mike Brown's passing. He was on tour at the time. Darren Wilson took his life, and he aborted his tour, and in some ways, his career was, set on another course after that incident happened. And I have tremendous respect for him because he's one of the most fearless rappers, MCs out right now. But on the musical tip, he's got a new album called War Machine 3. Dope album.
Nice title.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and he's just fearless. I got tremendous respect for him.
Man, I don't know if I'm fearless, man.
Well, you know what? There's nothing wrong with having fear.
Yeah.
Just not letting it control you. That's
Right.
what I'm talking about.
Fear is a good thing because fear lets you know that you're doing something right.
No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah, and actually, I've been waiting to talk to you for a long time. I have a ton of respect for what you've been doing, and I kind of want to get into when Michael Brown's death happened and how you first got involved. And correct me if I'm wrong, you helped get the video of his death out that ended up going viral.
Well, I didn't necessarily get the video. I actually wasn't there at the scene when he was shot.
Right.
I got there shortly after. A lot of the early, very, very early footage of Ferguson before it became national, I started vining really early in the game. A friend of mine that works for Al Jazeera actually lives in St. Louis, and we were partners, or we had a partnership writing about the Show Me 15 movement. So she used to cover a lot of our actions and rallies and stuff like that. So I knew, off the flip, something big that she could highlight. So I started to tweet and talk about what was going on, and I saw the picture of his stepfather holding a sign that said, "My unarmed son has been murdered by Ferguson police," and I actually thought that was his blood father or biological father at the time. I didn't know much about the story, so I put that on my Instagram. A lot of people put it on their Instagram. I just so happened to have a following at that time, so my numbers on the picture were a little bit higher than the average.
Right.
But I wouldn't say that I was the absolute first person, but I was very integral in
in getting it out.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think I saw it on your Instagram first, and then that's sort of how people started getting the word out, and it ended up going viral. And then a lot of independent journalists started talking about it and tweeting about it, and then it was later that the mainstream came on board.
Very
so it was
later.
what Ferguson always symbolizes too is how much of a grassroots endeavor it was, and how it was young people on the ground who were like, wait a minute, something is not right here, and we want answers, and we want some sort of accountability, and started pushing the message out. And I think that was just beautifully done, especially in this day and age with technology.
How do you feel now? It's a year later. And so much has happened.
Yeah.
It's not exactly, mainstream news anymore. But it's still going on.
I mean, there's a lot attached to this entire situation now. And, a year later, all I can really think about is the actual day of the shooting. And I really don't even have a clear recollection of my life before that. I barely remember anything about, like what I did previously that summer. All I do know is that it was a weird time for me. I was going through some things, like on a personal level. I was in a situation with Universal. I had a little piece of a deal. It was an independent deal. What the company was going to do with me as an artist was uncertain. I was at the crib, just sitting on the couch. I had put a record out independently. It did okay for the first few months, and then I hit that cold spree that you hit when you're on an independent record.
Right.
So I'm sitting there, and I'm like, man, what am I going to do with myself, And I got very, very depressed that summer, like very depressed. And I remember I was coming out of the depression towards the end of July, and I think it's kind of crazy how this young man's demise kind of plays a part in me, like realizing that there's a greater agenda for what we represent as human beings, and even as musicians, because I just being in the situation I was in a keen situation to kind of go right, not go left. I even had a little record that was on the radio locally, but it was, if you listen to that record now versus the records that I got now, you'll probably assume that it was a totally different rapper. But, I used to sprinkle consciousness in my music. Like, I never was a guy that was unconscious in my music, but I just strongly believe that you can kind of walk a twofold path. You can do consciousness over here. You can kind of give them a little bit of that, a little bit of that.
Right.
And, I still kind of believe that it's necessarily about music, but I believe for myself personally that there's just a greater agenda, that I was meant to do something a little bit different than the average artist.
Absolutely. And art has always been used to push for change. And, even we can go back to the fundamental basics of hip-hop. I think people forget that it was very socially conscious, politically active. So I love when I see people coming on board and still continuing that. Tef, I wanted to ask you, because for a lot of us, we watch this on social media or when television did do its coverage of it in the mainstream. For you being there on the ground, were you there when all of the protests were happening, and then the militarized response. What did you see firsthand? Can you sort of paint that picture?
The first day that I actually saw the military response would be the Monday after the weekend was over. Me and Tef Poe, he picked me up from my house. It's a local artist that was also very, very, very frontline oriented with the situation. So he picked me up from the house. We drove to Ferguson. The night before it burnt down, everything was crazy. There was a sit-in at the police station that we organized that didn't get much media coverage because nobody burnt anything down, So, but we took the street very, very early the day before. So the next day we didn't know what to expect because towards nighttime the city burnt, and we started hearing crazy stuff about the cops putting dogs on people. It was just chaos. So the next day we tried to go to the area to meet. Ironically enough, now that I think about these relationships, these are people. Some of these people I barely knew, but these became people that I know very, very well. Yeah. So reflecting back, I'm started smiling because I'm like, dag, I know her, but back then I didn't know her.
Right.
So we were en route to meet Rika Tyler, who's like one of our directors at Hands Up United, and we were meeting her and Maria Chappelle Nadal, the state senator. We couldn't get to them because they were circled in on the Quick Trip lot being tear gassed by the police.
Wow.
So it was like we were in Baghdad, like in a suburban neighborhood. People hanging out of cars, machine guns going off, people hitting donuts in the middle of the street. It was just like, Mad Max. And I remember seeing these like MRAP tank style vehicles run over people's front yard, and I pulled my cell phone out to kind of film a little bit of it. And it's crazy because now looking back, I wish I would have got a lot more footage than what I got. Even though I feel like I have a decent amount of footage, I would have got a ton more. But at that time, my brain just wasn't clicking like that. I was thinking survival mode, like, get out of here. So I filmed the tank kind of like running over this person's front yard, and there was these guys hanging outside of this white car kind of looking, and they were chuckling kind of like in disbelief, like, whoa, like nobody had ever seen anything like it. And that's the earliest memory that I have of like when I saw the militarization.
And what would you say is the vibe down there now? I know you're still very involved in the community and you're in touch with everyone. Like what like give us a sense of what people are feeling a year later.
I think it's a lot of trauma, like nobody really ever dealt with the fact that you have a community of young folks that seriously fought a military for an entire summer, and then even through the winter, and then had to find ingenuitive ways to kind of combat this army basically. And a lot of times, the narrative is that people were shooting at the police, attacking the police, and this and that and that. And there is an element of that attached to Ferguson, but for the most part, a lot of us were very extremely unarmed people combating. Folks with M16s in your face every day. And it was just what I think about when I think about what's going on now at home versus other spaces in the country is that I think in Ferguson we kind of understand that there's no middle ground between us and the police. Like a lot of people still are in that position where they're kind of like, well, there's a good cop, there's a bad cop. Yeah, that might be true. But when the lights go off and they have to choose a side, they're going to side with the establishment. That's the whole purpose of even being a cop. Like when when something gets funky, you got backup. So like for us, there is no there's no real assumption that the government actually cares about us. Like people make the assumption that well maybe Obama didn't know. I can't say that. Some of my homeboys went to the White House to talk to him.
Your letter to the president was great. I thought it was fantastic.
I wish that was on All Hip Hop. I was like, man, I didn't give it to us. He did do some other stuff.
Did you ever get a response, like a response to your letter?
No. The backstory to that is that I was actually crazy. Invited to the White House the day before that came out. I had written that a minute ago before I even knew it was possibility of me going to the White House.
Right.
So I'm at this time I'm hearing rumors. This is crazy, man. I'm hearing rumors that folks are trying to get at me like KKK. So I had to pretty much stay in this spot that I wasn't telling nobody where I was staying. and my phone rings, and it's like somebody from DC, and they're like, yeah, we want you to, try to get on this plane to the White House, whoop-de-whoop. Me being me, I'm like, I'm good.
Right.
Peace.
Holy tough.
So, and that was that. I went to sleep like it was no big deal. Woke up the next day, phone rings again, and it's like this person we know in media, my boy Merv. He was like, man, we gotta get you to the White House, bro. They want you in the room. You gotta be in the room. You need we need some authenticity in the room. And I was like, man, I don't really want to go, dude. And I really didn't want to go. So they scrambled and got me a ticket at the last minute. And I really believed that I wasn't going to pass White House vet, and I still believe I didn't because my plane sat on the runway for like 6 hours.
Oh, wow.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it was just extreme, like straight sat, and then by the time we got to D.C., I had missed the meeting already. So,
conspiracy.
And then the crazy part about that is the same trip, the next day, my luggage
got lost?
Was missing for like 3 weeks.
Boy.
Wow.
Wow. Sounds highly shady. I don't know about that, Chuck.
So check it. I got a question for you.
Yeah.
In a few moments we're gonna play an interview with Ice Cube that we did exclusively. The state of hip hop and activism and outspokenness. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, it's hip hop, man. You know what I'm saying? Like I have a lot of problems with hip hop now that I'm in a certain space right now. Everybody in the game is just like a straight up coward now. You know what I mean? Like even when it's time to like battle, like dudes won't even just battle. Like you're not even physically fighting, dog.
Right.
You're word jousting. You won't even do that. Like it's just like a culture full of just like weak stuff. Like nobody has any like, and I'm not even talking about like this whole like crazy machismo masculinity tip. I'm talking about just being a person of value, of merit, of just like, yo, if you come at me on a track, I'm gonna come back. If you have a verse, I got a verse. The competitive nature of the game is gone. Like and the fans suffer the most because it's like there's no need to like raise the stakes. There's this minimalistic level of entry for everything, and everything can stay at this minimalistic level as long as it can compete with the next minimalistic idea. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's like this, like there won't ever be like a new Pharoah Monch. You know what I'm saying? Because like you can't even come out that deep and be respected. You know?
Right.
So like it's becoming like this weird culture of just like uncoolness. Like me and my boy was talking about this morning. Like everybody wants it to be the 90s again, right?
Yeah.
But in the 90s, you had like Pac, Scarface, like when they saw each other, they would click up. They knew it was automatic, like NWA, this was a mob of guys from the streets. Like these, essentially in the 90s, it was cool to kind of have some bullies.
Yeah.
But like in the weird sense, they were like political bullies. Like, all right, dudes rocking without DJs now. All right, pull them off stage. You know what I'm saying? Oh, you ain't okay. You're out of line with one of the elements. We come to chin check that.
Right.
So now you would never be able to have that because like everybody emulates the 90s, but they emulate like the soft part of the 90s. Like
that's a great way of putting it.
They're not like pop. They're like, we got like a culture of Fresh Princess, and it's cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like everybody's kid and play, but they can rap a little better.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So like, I don't know. I don't really mess with it.
I wish Drake had went at you instead of me.
Oh, it would have been over. Don't ever diss me, nobody. I'm gonna take it way too far, man.
Yeah. Well, that's what Cube recently said. He was like, you have to essentially kill your opponent.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what Drake did, right?
Yeah, he do. It's crazy because he do it in a
comedic.
It's not even a comedic. It's a real like Rico Suave type of way.
Right,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
it didn't take that much.
It took. He used social media actually.
Right.
Yeah. Really, that's really what took him over the top.
He changed one of my philosophies about the culture because I used to always say that the pretty dude never wins the battle unless it's LL Cool J. But like I always used to say, like the dude that finesses, like I used to hate like the cats that try to like emulate Jay-Z's approach to battling because it'd be like, yo, you ain't Jay-Z, so all that finessing don't really come with much weight. You know what I'm saying? You just all right, I'm finna punch you. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? Like,
But in the 90s, Jay was chopping them down. Like, he was
Yeah.
slaying cats
Yeah,
left and
he-
right.
he
And then as he got older,
Yeah.
he started to
Yeah.
pick and choose.
yeah.
I stopped being a Jay fan after Reasonable Doubt.
Don't say
That's
those
it.
Oh,
Yeah,
no,
I'm
chill.
sorry. I was done
After
that.
Reasonable Doubt?
I
That
can't
no,
say
that after that I was like,
Blasphemy.
I'm done.
I can't say
Yeah.
that.
That's ridiculous. I can't speak to you anymore.
Hey,
The show's over.
Man, you stopped listening a long time ago.
After the Reasonable Doubt? That's absurd.
Time ago.
Man.
I still listen, but I stopped being a fan. Let's put it that way. I
Well,
stopped being a
Jay,
fan, but anyway.
this is Chuck Creekmer, and I'm a fan still
Yeah,
to this day.
I feel you. Me
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Well, okay. I want to, Tef, I want to get back to another serious question because what I noticed about Ferguson and a lot of the movements that have come about since that moment and when all these incidents happen is how many women have been leading these. Yeah, and I wanted to get your thoughts on that because to me that's a big difference between what we saw in the 60s and now because you didn't have that many females who were leading, and I think it's obviously as a woman I think it's dope and it's fantastic, so I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
I mean, it's like one of those things that was just bound to happen, you know, like when you look at the way this society functions, it puts off the thing that's inevitable for as long as it can, and then eventually it just explodes, you know, like you can see that even within traces of like Barack Obama being a black president, right? For like years, we put it off. Like, nope, you're not the guy. And then finally, the guy comes through, and it's this big explosion, and then everybody's on the sideline looking like, so how did this happen? Why are these people voting for him in multitudes? Because they haven't seen anybody like him win in 100 years.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you help the story prosper. So, like, I think at the crib, you know, the situation with so many women stepping forth in leadership just reflects that. It reflects that this was inevitably supposed to happen. It's their time. And I always tell people, like, you can just get out the way or you can be on the right side of history, you know? So I think that's
and
what
same
it
thing
is.
with young people, too. I think after Ferguson happened is sort of when young people picked up the mantle and said, no, we're going to actually be involved in shaping the narrative into how we are depicted in the mainstream, how our stories are told. I think that was a huge part. I definitely noticed with Ferguson.
Definitely. I think it was just an organic uprising for real, you know. And I know we use words like uprising in a very cliche manner, but I mean, just being there and witnessing it, that's really what it was. It reminded me of there's this movie called Rubble Kings about the Bronx in the gang era, you know. And it was kind of like that. It was like every other week a different clique was coming out of the ashes. But instead of like fighting each other, they were aimed at fighting the police. You know, like it was a really wild time to live through. You know.
Absolutely.
Why do so many people think that being silent is going to keep them safe? Like, you know, people be like, okay, let me just not say anything. They won't get me that way.
That's what a lot of people think. Just keep your head down and you know, do what you have to do and you'll be fine. But nothing could be further from the truth. And we were actually talking about this off mic earlier in terms of political power and elections. And what do you think? Do you think so? Okay, let me say this first. So on Thursday is the first GOP debate. Now I know many of us may not be voting for a GOP candidate, or we might. Who knows? But that being said, I think it's important for us to tune in and see what they're saying because next thing you know, we'll turn around and Donald Trump will be the president. So do you think
it's a nightmare?
Right. How important do you think it is for people to be involved and be politically active in the sense of going to the ballot box and casting a vote?
So, you know, I have a large mixture of emotions about voting now. Because now I'm looking at the puzzle board from like a different lens, and I'm analyzing different things that I never analyzed before. And I've registered a lot of people to vote in St. Louis, you know, and helped participate in voter registration drives and stuff like that. So where I'm at now is for the progression of our society, for the progression of our agenda as a people that I feel that are legitimately oppressed. I've seen the brick do more than the ballot. You know, like if I've seen Baltimore being burnt down do more than every black person in Baltimore voting, in my opinion. You know, I've seen, I mean, in Ferguson, people say, well, recall the mayor. People have tried to recall the mayor 3 times now. All 3 efforts have been suppressed. You cannot suppress that brick flying through that storefront property. You know what I'm saying? So, like, for me, I'm asking myself, like, okay, is participating in the system at this current state versus disrupting the system, which one holds more weight? Which one holds more value for just the outrage that we're feeling? You know, like, do we go vote again, play by the rules, only to be disappointed again? You know, or you know, even with something like Donald Trump running for office, I feel so disgruntled about the way things are. So I'm so angry about how, you know, white supremacy kind of suppresses itself and hides and dresses itself up, and you know, people like Hillary Clinton can get on TV and say Black Lives Matter, and my response to her would be, well, did they matter when your husband bombed that hospital in Somalia? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So like as Americans, we talk about voting, but like, to me, if we're being all-inclusive members of this world to make it peaceful, then how are we voting in tyrants?
I think you just messed Hillary up right now.
Well, because
Hillary's got a long road ahead of her.
We live in a place called the world. Yeah.
Oh, God.
So that was, okay, this is an inside joke because that was the title of my last piece for Huffington Post last week, and he just made fun of the title. And I was like, but it's true, because especially here in the U.S., people tend to forget that there's an entire world out there. And what we do here obviously impacts them, and what happens there impacts here. And, you know, that goes for politics too, who you elect. Like, you know, Obama may be great on certain issues domestically, but internationally he accelerated the drone campaign. He did certain things that we may not agree with. So absolutely, thank you, Tef, for seconding my point.
No doubt.
Nah, he's got a lot of points. My thing is, you always have to use every weapon and arsenal in your arm's reach. You know, and I feel like voting is just one of them. And I don't discount it. So I vote, but I'm also out there in the streets too.
True.
You know what I mean? I'm not throwing bricks. I ain't gonna lie.
Me neither.
We do not condone violence.
However.
Right, but that being said, I agree with you, Chuck. I think it is important to participate in what the system is, because at the end of the day, if you don't, then your needs and your requests and what you want for your community does go ignored, because people don't pay attention to you. They really don't. If you're not included, then you're not part of anything.
Absolutely.
Yep. So anyway, but let's. I know you're dying to get to. I know you're like, get the Cube interview. Let's segue to your Cube interview here. So Chuck and I both went to screening for Straight Outta Compton, which was actually really, really. I thought it was great.
It's a class. It's the best, hands down, best hip hop
biopic. They did a very good job.
I can't wait.
A good
Notorious.
job. The guy who played
rap.
Eazy-E, I forgot his name, but he was fantastic. He was great. It was like, there were a few times where I forgot that wasn't E. And it was like somebody playing him. Really, really good.
Everybody on there was phenomenal. And the movie, it does an incredible job of condensing like 6 years into 2.5 hours. You know what I'm saying? So
Right. And it also did a really good job of showing, especially for, like, let's say, like, younger people who weren't around during that era, to see how NWA got formed, the things they went through, and then they juxtaposed the Rodney King beating with different things. It was just well done.
There are a lot of parallels to what's going on now.
Yeah, very timely. So Chuck had a chance to talk to Cube, you know, about the movie and just about different issues. So, Chuck, I know you want to jump in with whatever you want to jump in.
I mean, you know, basically, you know, as you know, that's why we had you on as our first guest, because there are some parallels. You know, Cube is in his time frame came out at a period when
it's crazy, because I wouldn't even be in this chair if I didn't grow up and get introduced to that Ice Cube.
Yeah,
you understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Like a part of my existence is attached to that Ice Cube, and when you know that political Ice Cube that was essentially like Malcolm X for hip hop. You know?
Definitely.
Definitely. That word up.
Okay, so let's just roll into the interview. He's gonna, you know.
So you asked him first. I know you asked him about just about the movie in general and like kind of his reaction.
Yeah,
so
we talked about the movie and how he felt about it, and also the MC Ren situation being more of a peripheral character. So let's roll into it. So let's,
if we can, our super producers play a clip A, please. That's Cube's reaction to the movie.
I feel great about the movie. You know, I think we did the best job we possibly can do with the movie. People love it, and you know they appreciate, all the things we tried to do with the movie, and it's just done in the right way at the right studio. So I'm extremely happy.
What do you want audiences, young and older, to take away from it?
I want, audiences, younger, I want them to be inspired, as youngsters, to be able to change their situation, to be able to creatively deal with their frustrations, try to be constructive and not destructive.
Right.
As far as, the old heads, I want to take them back. Hopefully they feel a sense of nostalgia, and they can understand where the music came from, where the groups come from, and everything that we stood for. They get a chance to see, what we went through to make it happen. So, I'm proud of that.
So, as you can hear, Cube is laid back.
Extremely laid
Cube
back.
This Cube was the Friday Cube in this one. He was definitely in chill mode, but actually we got a lot of good stuff from him. Right. And one thing that I wanted to get out of him was the fact that MC Ren was a peripheral character overall in the movie. It centers on Easy, Dre, and Cube. But MC Ren was a beast lyrically. Right. So I asked him about Ren's tweets about the marketing. I kind of asked the question in a way that I thought he would sort of respond. I thought Ren had a problem with the whole movie, but really it was supposedly the marketing of it.
Yeah, well, that's what Cube said. But, what clip?
Yeah, so hit clip B.
I don't think he was upset about his inclusion in the movie. I think he was upset about the way the marketing department handled, him in marketing. I sat with him through the movie, and he loved the movie. I just don't think he felt that, the marketing team included him in everything he should have been included in. So, they got their own philosophies and ways of doing stuff. The filmmakers aren't necessarily, as far as listened to. Sometimes when it comes to marketing, they kind of got their own way of doing things, and he didn't agree with it, and that's cool. He's the villain. I expect him to like everything.
All right. So after that, we talked a little bit about the police. As you already know, Cube was there fighting the police. One thing I just recently read was a lot of Cube's, rage towards the police was because a cop killed his sister. She was dating a police officer. Man. And that was actually cut out of Straight Outta Compton because they had so many different stories, and that was a part of why he felt that way. And I never knew that.
I think I read that somewhere before.
I never heard that.
I never knew that at all.
Yeah, so let's run into Cube talking about the police in clip C.
I just think it's the same old song. These officers are not being held accountable enough, so they continue to do what they do. I think now you just got more social media and more camera phones and things to capture what they're doing, but I don't think they've ramped it up or slowed it down. It's kind of business as usual.
All right, so I think we're gonna skip around a little bit on some of these clips because I want to get to him talking about Obama.
Oh yeah, sure. He talked about Obama, and I think he talked about Hillary as well.
Yeah,
sure.
he dissed the president in general because back in the day, Eazy-E had a dinner with the president, and he said he'd never sit down with the president, so I had to ask him about Obama. So let's run to clip F.
Yeah, I'd break bread with Obama, but I want to do it when he's not the president. I think the conversation will be better.
And then he went to Hillary on G.
Clip number 2, please.
No matter who's in, no matter who's in there, no matter who's in there, I still got to get up and go to work in the morning. So I got to see what they really kind of standing on. I don't really trust neither one of them, to be honest. Obama's.
Right. That's kind of going back to what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Cube obviously is a different man now. You know what I mean? He's not all piss and vinegar, but honestly, I think that he's evolved as a businessman and other things as well. But the crazy thing is, if you really listen to Cube's music in the last few years, it ain't changed. Right. And that's what I tell people all the time when they try to call him out on his family flicks and everything. I'm like, dude is still about that life. Right. Lyrically. Yeah. He's just smart.
Which you have to be, absolutely, because I think at the end of the day, like we were saying earlier, you have to you live in this society, right? So you have to participate in the society, but that doesn't mean you have to completely, quote unquote, sell out. You can still be active and do things and still be a member of this world, of this society. I think so, totally.
Y'all want to know a fun fact?
What?
Sure.
That hardly anybody knows while we're talking about Ice Cube? What? This might be kind of crazy, might not. When I wrote this recent album, I watched Friday every night. Every night on repeat. You know, every night.
Why?
Because when he wrote Friday, it was after the 92 riots. And he said he needed something that he felt could bring some upliftment to the community. And I said, you know, who better could relate to the mind frame of what I'm trying to articulate than the person that made Friday. So if you listen to like the intro, you'll hear like a line that says, I said, no hidden faces applied, they never could forget us. Hidden Faces is the name of the company that scored Friday. And then I say, deep in this is Debo and Craig. There's sprinkles of Friday throughout the whole album.
Wow, that's deep, right? Deep. Yeah, it's deep that we're doing this show, and then you're here.
That's crazy.
Perfect. That is crazy.
All right,
love it.
So look, Tef, I know we've been talking about a whole lot of serious stuff.
Here we go.
I got a couple questions I want to ask you.
Cool. Be warned.
On the other side, it's not all silly stuff, but first thing I want to know is, are there groupies in the movement?
Yes. Yes.
Please expand on that
Y-E-S.
statement. Really?
With
like groupies? Like,
man, wow. It's psycho. And it ain't even just the women, it's dudes too. Like, for real. You know what I'm saying? The dudes might be worse than the women.
Really?
Wow.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Because it's complicated with the dudes. The dudes will be such a groupie of yours that they start hating on you. It's like, yo, you like me so much that you just want me to be with you every day, and you mad that I'm not, like, rocking with your little crew. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's like, it creates this whole mythological agenda. One of my elders, Glenn Ford, from the Black Panther Party, you know, he was telling me about it this weekend. I spent this crazy weekend in like this MST land occupation camp in Brazil, and you have to basically like make your own food. They built their own shelter, like it's straight like living off the land. So at nighttime, there's really nothing to do but talk. So I would just talk to the elders. So me and Glenn were talking, and he was like, you know, it reminds me of back in the day, man, when the cats would be in the meetings, and everybody would just charge the next cat with COINTELPRO. And he would be like, there was no political, you know, analysis as to why you were charging the next person. It'd be like, at this point, man, we kind of know it's personal. You know what I'm saying? Just say it. Like, you ain't caught up doing nothing. You're like, I think you a cop, man. Right?
Yo, that's hilarious.
He said he got
the worst thing ever.
It was like, come on, man, we just sabotaging each other just for over personal stuff. You know, you see a dude talk to a woman and you're like, yeah, next meeting I'm COINTELPROing.
Yo, that's hilarious.
That is funny.
Yo, I need more elders in my life. For
I
real,
know, right?
Because I need stories like that. It's going to crack me up.
Yep.
All right, so here's another one. Have you ever met a cool cop?
No.
Wow.
No. All right.
Nah, man. You know, with me and police, it's like this, man. Everybody, I just don't have the capacity for the rationale, personally. You know what I'm saying? I just don't. Like, you can't roll with a crew of bank robbers and be like, but I'm the good one. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like I'm the one that's not going to shoot the security guard. I just want the money. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, bro, you roll it. You know what I'm saying? So, like, and that's the thing about cops, too. Like, in private amongst each other, there's no assumption about the unity. Everybody knows, like, you know, the bad cops know if they
blue
shoot
wall,
you,
right?
yeah,
The blue wall
they
of
know right
protection.
now they come here and shoot somebody that the next cop, as good as he is, he could be a straight up Baptist saint. His poster's hanging on Jesus Christ's bedroom wall. That cop knows that the other cop ain't gonna say nothing. You know what I'm
What
saying?
about what do you say though to people who say that, you know, cops also protect and they do certain things?
You know, the
that there
Panther
are
Party,
some-
once again, talking to them elders, the Panther Party schooled me this weekend. He said, you know, the problem with y'all generation is y'all say power to the people, but we said power to the people followed by death to the fastest pigs.
That is true. They did say that.
Right. Yo.
They did say that.
But he said the reason they would say that is because the police are essentially the foundation of the empire that we claim to be against. They protect the interests of the empire, you know? So I was like, man, that's deep, you know? But I don't know, and I don't mean to sound so crazy, like, yo, it's all cops burn in hell, you know? I'm not talking like that. But what I'm saying is, like, you know, it's an occupation that has a very specific purpose, you know? And there might be great humanitarians within that, but you know, it's hard to humanize a group of people that doesn't humanize anybody else. You know, we're always appealing to their humanity, but like, what about the humanity of the society that suffers from their actions?
Right.
You know,
Absolutely. Okay, so here's another one. Who's your favorite ratchet rapper?
Ooh. It depends on what you consider ratchet, because you know, people gotta remember I am from St. Louis, which is like kind of like the South. You know what I'm saying? So,
well, you know, pure ignorance.
Waka Flocka.
Waka Flocka. Waka Flocka's actually, he's dope.
Because he's actually a smart dude.
Yeah.
He is a
he's
smart
running
guy.
for president too, by the way.
And that's what I'm voting for.
Yeah. Waka for president. All right.
No, I like Waka. I like a lot of I like loud music. I like loud stuff. So, you know, what else? What am I thinking? I don't know, like anything southern and loud with a lot of like high energy, I'm probably gonna get into. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's why my favorite song from you is Gas Man.
Oh yeah,
just aggression.
Word, man.
You know what I'm saying?
That's a good song.
You can rock that in anything. Your car, your headphones.
Yeah, man.
Even your iMac, all of it.
Man,
and it bangs.
That's my lane, man. Making that high energy, you know, music with some type of substance into it. You know what I'm saying? I think that's just what I bring to the table.
Who do you want to collaborate that you haven't worked with yet?
Whoa, a lot of people. You know, I wouldn't mind working with Cube for real. Scarface.
I think Cube is doable. He's worked with a lot of up and coming artists.
Yeah.
He worked with Killer Mike way back.
Yeah, Killer Mike, that's like family for me, man. That's my boy. Yeah. Well, way before any of this, actually.
That's the homie.
Who else, man? Pastor Troy.
Okay.
Pick a random one. Nipsey Hussle off the rip. I like Schoolboy Q. I think me and Ab Soul would make a crazy record. You know.
Yeah.
I could go on for days, for real.
What rapper would you want to punch in the face?
Oh man! So yo, back in the
That's
day,
a good question.
I ain't gonna give you a new one because you know I don't want no problems. You know, I'm mobbing around New York dudes got crews. You know, I don't know how cats get down. But one cat that we did have a little static with was Charles Hamilton.
Say word.
Yeah, we had a little bit of static with him.
What was Charles? He wears pink. He's a
Man,
Sonic, the hedgehog.
So the cat that he stole that beat from many moons ago when he had that saga from St. Louis, and it's actually my older brother.
Wow.
Yeah. So like we saw Charles at South by Southwest,
That's not cool.
and we approached him. I actually wasn't there. If I was there, I can admit it probably would have been a little bit more wild. But I was in St. Louis, so they saw him at South by Southwest, and they walked up to. He was performing because we were actually Charles Hamilton fans. Like, you know, wanted to check him out. So they went to the show. He was performing, and then when he performed on the track that my brother had produced, and he had ripped it off of MySpace.
Wow.
So for like a week, it was a big thing on hip hop because you know my brother did a video. It went to World Star. It was on a few websites. Charles like sent the Pro Tools, but it wasn't the actual real sessions. And what people don't know is behind the scenes, while he's saying one thing on the internet, like, yo, it's my track, he's on the phone calling us like, yo, tell everybody out there to calm down, blah, 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 because at that point, dudes in Detroit and Chicago and St. Louis were like, all right, well, let's just go get him.
Yeah, I think I remember that. I remember that. Yo, because I had talked to him a lot, and I was like, yo, man, just just dead it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man.
He was in a lot of trouble. His girl had punched him in the face.
Yeah, I think it got
so
crazy that Jimmy Iovine had even called the crib and
For
was
real.
asking questions to get clarity on what really happened.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, you got to give him a pass now. He's been through a lot in his life. He just needs to be, I'm glad to see that he's in good standing now.
Yeah.
Because he's been through a lot.
Man.
He went through a lot of depression issues too.
Word.
You know what I mean? So
Word.
I definitely, have sympathy for Charles. So we'll let him live. We'll let him live.
So what's next for you, Tef? Tell us.
You know what? I don't really know. I want to try to embark upon this kind of Bob Marley-ish type of mission to use the music to influence the greater culture. You know, try to really give people the feeling and the attachment of what a lot of people are feeling right now in this new phase of politics. For me, I want to just continue to grow and really understand the place of people of color in America in a global context. I think that's really what's lacking from the current political landscape. It's always about, and I believe that if we focus solely on the national piece, we get more of the results that we're continuing to get.
Right.
And I think that when in the last days of Malcolm X, that's what he sort of started to realize.
Absolutely.
Is that if we're going to really have liberation for people of color in this country,
Right.
it's going to come through allyship with other international bodies of people.
And that was one of the things in Ferguson that I thought was fascinating, that you had people from Gaza and people from Egypt like telling people how to protect themselves from tear gas, what to do, and there was all this kind of like cross-cultural stuff going on and this international thing that, yes, we live in a place called the world.
And Tef has traveled a lot. You just came from Brazil, you were in Palestine and other places as well, right?
Yeah.
How have you been received there?
So I was talking to my friend about this last night. When I leave the country right now, for anything that's like movement-oriented, for me, it's like a ginormous political education piece.
Right.
And it's a huge opportunity to try to realign the values that we have here in America with the values of people internationally. And I feel that we need that drastically. And I feel that we're continuing the same sort of American ignorance that we claim that we're trying to chop down when we don't do that. And I think that it's just very necessary. I think that it's extremely necessary if we're going to call ourselves any type of revolutionary anything, that we have to connect with oppressed people in other countries, on other soils, that have the same exact problems, because we're fighting a global system. So if you take out this corner right here, it doesn't matter if this corner right here is still standing. So it's like, I think that's what we need to try to kind of merge and transfer into, That's what I'm thinking.
Now, wait. You know me, I'm just going to keep it random.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at your gold chain, and you got
Nefertiti,
Death Row.
Yeah, and this little red ruby thing.
What's going on with that?
Huge Death Row fan from the Tupac era. In the 90s, I always wanted one of those little Death Row pins.
Right. Okay.
This is another ode to Tupac, because he had the tattoo right here on his chest. And then I wrote this song called Red Rubies, which was like a 12-minute, 10-minute record. It went viral in St. Louis. It was like my response to like Kendrick's Control record.
Got you.
A while
Oh,
ago.
okay.
So, yeah.
Death Row used to scare the mess out of me. I'm not gonna lie. That's when I was just earliest parts of getting into the industry. They used to have, they used to just mob on the East Coast. It was crazy.
Yeah.
It was crazy. Yeah.
Well, this has been great, Tef. We're so glad that you were able to join us on this
doubt.
first debut, and and that's going to be a huge part of our show too. Is like, we don't want this to just be a national thing. We want it to be international. We want people in in the Middle East, in Africa, in Latin America, wherever around the world, to send us, their responses, their Vine videos, their thoughts on stuff. So a very like collaborative, global thing, what we're going to do here.
Doubt.
Definitely. So don't forget, Tef Poe has an album out, War
That's
Machine 3.
Yes.
That's right.
On iTunes. Go cop that. It's crazy.
And please give out all your social media handles.
Get at me on Twitter at Tef Poe. We got to talk about Twitter next time, y'all. 'Cause I got some interesting.
Say it now.
I have some very interesting analysis about Twitter.
Are you talking about hashtag activists? Or?
Yeah, or just I just one night, I don't know why, man. I don't know why. I just went on this research like spree about Twitter, and I was just up all night digging and getting statistics, and I wrote this crazy article. Matter of fact, I might send it to you. We might put it out.
Okay.
But basically, most people don't know. Like, so we're in this era where everybody's running to Twitter for somebody gets shot by the cops. They run to Twitter, hashtag it up. You know what I'm saying? You get a hashtag Sandra Bland. You get a hashtag this person, hashtag that person, and so let's really think about this. Like, Twitter is a corporation. It's an actual business, and these people are running to this website and gaining these massive followings, and it stays alive primarily through ad space. So when I started doing the research, I found out that 2,219 people work at Twitter. Out of all those people, only 47 of them are people of color. If you take the combined totals of all the people of color that work at Facebook, Twitter, and Google, you can fit them all onto one jumbo jet, while everyone else will take 47 jumbo jets.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's not surprised at all.
No, not surprising. It's not surprising at all. And furthermore, on a whole nother level, they store all that data, everything.
Yeah.
The Library of Congress stores archives everything you tweet publicly.
Yeah.
Well, not everything we tweet, but everything. Like, there's certain handles that they do. Like,
are you sure?
I'm sure somebody else archives everything we tweet, but not them.
Right.
But not them. But that's another conversation for another time.
But yeah, no, that's definitely an issue. I mean, but it also speaks to the larger problem of people of color in technology in general.
Yeah.
Right.
Whether it be a digital divide or the fact that we don't create anymore.
Right.
Or even in media. I mean, I can speak on that too. We can do a whole show on that one day too. Just the lack of diversity and how much we need to still work on that. I mean,
well, that's why, with all hip hop, and not to get on my soapbox or anything, that's why we've remained independent, man, because, I don't believe in...
Absolutely.
Let's put it like this. I believe in entrepreneurship and independence.
Which is why we're doing this too, because we're on the same page with that. We're like, we're tired of people like us and not having a voice and not having a say in these issues, and we're like, let's just create our own.
And everybody else, Tef, you get love all over, but we definitely want to make sure you have a home here too.
No doubt.
Absolutely.
These are the real interviews. These are the ones that matter for real, because you can talk to the core people that you don't have to walk around the house to explain it. You can shoot straight and give them the real deal.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you again for joining us. Definitely, we really appreciate it. And we want to also thank everyone who helped us on this show today, too. So we want to thank John, Elijah, Juan, all of our wonderful, wonderful people behind the scenes here. And
check us out on social media at The Unlikely Ho. Oh, gosh, The Unlikely Ho. Really? Really? Did I just say that?
Freudian slip?
The Unlikely Show.
The Unlikely Show. And my Twitter is NidaKhanNY. It's NIDAKHANNY.
Okay, and I'm at Chuck Creekmur, CREEKMUR. You can get the whole audio on SoundCloud.com/The Unlikely Show, and you'll also be able to get the full unedited version of the Ice Cube video interview without all the cuts and slashes at SoundCloud as well. So thank you so much, Tef, man.
No doubt.
My brother, appreciate you, man.
Thank you.
Definitely.
For coming up.
And Elijah, too. Elijah's my man here on the camera, behind the scenes, critically critiquing us as we tape everything.
He's giving us a thumbs up, I think, right? Yeah, there you go. All right, there you have it, everybody. This is The Unlikely Show with Nida and Chuck. See you next time.
Peace.